Okay, my name is Les Winkeler. I grew up in the Carlisle Lake area. I think most people are familiar with that. I've been living in Harrisburg since the late 1980s, and most people know who I am because I spent 30 plus years at the Southern Illinoisan as their sports editor and outdoors writer.
Oh, wow. So that's where you got your start then?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, photographing, yeah. When I started, we were actually a real newspaper, like with photography staff and everything, you know. And then, but the nature of the things I did going out with people in the wild and stuff, a lot of times I couldn't take a photographer, so they basically put a camera in my hand and said learn how to do this. And one thing led to another, and pretty soon that was the favorite part of my job.
Yeah, yeah. So sports photography is where you kind of got your start.
Kind of, sort of, but that was in another earlier life in a smaller newspaper.
Yeah.
But once I got to the Southern, it was more the outdoor stuff.
Got it. Okay, well, what give me an idea of what your work is. What do you love to shoot?
I'm just really opportunistic. I mean, in different times of the year, obviously different critters are here and out and about. My favorite thing to do is the really small birds, the warblers and the indigo buntings and things like that. Basically, because I'm a really competitive person, even with myself, and the bigger birds are easier, and I really feel a sense of accomplishment if I get a goldfinch buried in a thistle bush or something like that. That gets my juices going. But I love to do everything. If you see my work, you know there's a lot of great blue herons and things like that, and they're just I don't ever need to take another photo of them because I have so many. Yeah. But they're really beautiful. They're really unique. So
something different all the time.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah,
it really is.
Well, tell us a little bit about your gear. You don't have to go super in depth, but give us a little idea of what, especially this one. What's going on there?
I started out modestly, as you probably should when you start a new hobby, and I just bought a Canon kit camera, one of the Rebel series, and with the kit lens. This was the 300 millimeter kit lens, and when you're just getting started and you're trying to get your feet wet, that actually worked very fine for several years. I even got some some of those little warbler shots and stuff with that. But obviously you can't really reach out, and you have to be able to get really close to them or whatever. So eventually I've kind of upgraded to, this is a 600 millimeter Tamron telephoto. It's very reasonably priced. I've only had it for 4 or 5 months, but I really like it. It's light. It's much lighter than it looks, because if you're walking around out in the woods all day and stuff, it gets pretty bulky. I've probably got $1,200-$1,300 in that rig, which,
when it comes to camera gear, that's reasonable.
It's cheap is what it is. It's cheap is what it is. So
for the shots you're getting, that's pretty reasonable.
So and I tell people, if they say they're interested in starting to take photographs, and that's my first advice. I say, start with one of the kits, and that 300 millimeter will get you some nice outdoor photos, and then if you get bit by the bug, you can always upgrade, and I would love to have something twice that big and whatever, but we all have to live within our means.
Yes, we do. Well, what's a favorite location that you'd like to shoot in?
I have several. One of my favorites is Mermet Lake, south of Vienna. Aesthetically, it's not a very pretty place. It's a state of Illinois waterfowl refuge. It's a man-made lake. It's riprap on 3 sides. You'll go there. If you haven't been there and you take my advice, you'll go there and say, that guy's an idiot. Because it's just not pretty. But there's all 4 sides is different habitat. And so you're going to see different things on every side of the lake. And it's one of the few places that I feel like I can go to at any time of the year and come away with quality shots,
Yeah.
whether you're talking about the waterfowl, the great blue herons,
Yeah.
or I've seen beaver and mink and otter down there.
Wow.
So, and if you like to take pictures of snakes, that's a wonderful place to go. But that's one of my favorites. Glen O. Jones is close and is very nice.
Yeah.
Sahara is great for
Yeah.
for the warblers and the songbirds. Crab Orchard National Wildlife Refuge is excellent. And the other place I would mention would be the Grand Tower Levee south and west of Murfreesboro.
Oh, yeah.
It goes right along the confluence of the Big Muddy and the Mississippi is very close.
Okay.
And if you follow that levee road down there, you'll get a lot of, I've gotten things, even like white ibis, which normally live in Florida, Louisiana, and Texas, things like that. They just come up, and cattle egrets, and just all kinds of water birds, shorebirds, and stuff.
Oh, wow.
So,
I don't know that one. That one's a new.
oh, it's an easy drive. It's just on a levee. It's
Huh.
yeah,
Okay,
it's
cool.
really nice.
Well, what's on your bucket list to get to shoot?
I've been to several. The Everglades is outstanding. There are some places in Texas. There's a place called Lake Apopka that is the water source for the city of Orlando.
Oh, yeah.
And it's got an 11-mile gravel road that cuts through the north end of the lake. So you actually have like lake on one side and swamp on the other. And mile per mile, I've probably seen more wildlife there than anywhere else. I just came back from the Rio Grande Valley in southeast Texas, which was just amazing.
Yeah.
And still on the bucket list is Big Bend National Park in West Texas.
Oh, yeah.
So
a lot down south.
a lot down south,
lot
yeah.
down south.
Well, but to be fair, I've also really enjoyed shooting in in Minnesota around Voyageurs National Park.
Oh, yeah.
It was very nice. Did a lot of good warbler stuff there.
Got
But
it.
one thing I would add, though, if you're going to some of these places, if you can hire a guide,
Oh, yeah.
it is. We hired a guide in Southeast Texas, and on the first day, she put me on 22 live birds for me,
Oh, wow.
which was, and I mean, it was partially due to the fact that she was an excellent guide, but it's also due to the fact that the birds down there are totally different than
Yeah.
what we have here. So,
Yeah.
but she, we saw things that we wouldn't have seen without her.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
yeah.
if you're really serious about it, and most of the guides are pretty reasonably
Yeah,
priced,
yeah,
so
yeah. Well, they know the local.
they know the local.
They know the local stuff.
Yep. Yep.
That's good advice.
Well, and she had access to private areas that
Yeah.
most people do, and
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I also operate a small guide service here in Southern Illinois. It's called Winkeler's Wings and Wildlife. We take 6-hour trips, and if you want to take photos, that's fine. If you don't want to take photos, that's fine. If you want to take photos and don't have a camera, you can rent my stuff.
Okay.
But you basically every trip is unique. You tell me what you want to see, and I try to put those critters in front of you. And my only agenda for the day is to see that you have a good time.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun. People enjoy it.
Yeah.
There's so many things here that are really kind of spectacular, and people don't realize they're here because they're not looking for them.
Yeah. This is true. Good. What are a few of your favorite pieces that you've got?
Yeah, I really, in the wildlife realm, I really like a picture of a wood duck that I actually shot that in Florida in St. Augustine at something called the Alligator Farm. It's like a zoo where I think it's the only place in the world you can see all 24 species of alligators, crocodiles, and caimans. But they built it around an actual rookery, so the birds are wild. The alligators not so much, but the birds are. And man, I got face to face with roseate spoonbills and things like that.
Oh, wow.
And I also have a piece that I really like. That is a cedar waxwings that I actually shot in my driveway. I got out one morning to get the newspaper off the driveway, and I noticed my neighbor's holly tree was just shaking. And there were probably about 75 to 100 cedar waxwings in that tree. So I ran in the house, got my camera, and standing on the sidewalk, just clicked away and probably got 50 keeper frames, which if you're a photographer, you know that's a heck of a day, much less a heck of a 15 minutes. So.
Yeah.
So
50's a lot.
so that was really nice. And I just do some landscape and scenics, and there's a scene I shot in Nova Scotia of a little bay with some fishing boats and stuff that I really like. So, and you mentioned earlier before we started recording about checking other people's works and stuff. There are a couple really nice websites available. There's the Southern Illinois Birding Group that's on Facebook, and Illinois Nature Lovers is also on Facebook. Those are the two that I look at most often because they're most apt to be local photographers.
Oh, wow. Okay. Got it. Who influences you, or who are your favorite teachers or mentors that you've had in the past?
Birders, by and large, are really a communal, helpful group.
Yeah.
If you're a beginner and you're out and somebody overhears you and you're misidentifying a bird or whatever, it's fairly likely that someone's going to come by and say, "Hey, you're on the right track, but what you're seeing is actually this." And then in my position as and working at the newspaper, I had the opportunity to go on birding trips with really phenomenal birders, people who know the guidebooks from start to finish, and people who can hear a wisp of a sound up in a tree somewhere and it can tell you that no, it's not a magnolia warbler, it's a black-throated green warbler, and I'm just totally blown away by those people. But I've been fortunate enough to go out with them several times, and like I said, though, it's generally speaking, at least 9 out of 10 birders are going to be helpful, and if you see someone peering through a spotting scope going ooh if you ask them, they'll just step aside and say, "Here, take a look yourself." So, yeah, it's pretty nice.
Yeah, that is good. That's a good community.
It really is nice. You don't have to be, you don't really have to be afraid to ask, because 9 out of 10 are going to be very, very helpful and just excited that you're excited. So
yeah.
Springtime is the prime time. You start early enough in the spring, you get some of the holdovers from the winter season, and then mid-April through May, you get all the really colorful migrants coming through, and by that time, all the year-round residents are in breeding plumage and everything, and that's when the birds are the prettiest, because they're in breeding plumage, and they're trying to attract mates, and they're also very vocal at that time, so they're easy to find, or easier to find. Yeah. And but any time of year really is there's no bad time. It just depends on what you want to see. Yeah. In the fall, the migrants come through again, but they're starting to look a little shabby because their finery is getting a little old and ragged. But then that's also the time of year when the waterfowl is starting to move in. And the winter, actually, the benefits of birding in the winter is the trees are bare. And you're probably most of the birds you see are going to be kind of muted browns and grays and stuff. But you'll see a lot of woodpeckers, which can be very, very colorful. You'll see a lot of waterfowl, which people are actually shocked at how pretty some of the duck species are that you can see around here. Yeah. So no, it's a sport that you can really have a lot of fun with all year round.
Yeah. As much fun as you want to make it.
Yep.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about your reception that's coming up.
The reception is on the last day of the exhibit, which is Sunday, April 30th. It'll be in the collection is at the Barnes Room of the Harrisburg Public Library. The reception is from 2 to 4 p.m. If you see anything that you absolutely can't live without, you can certainly purchase the work. And if you have something you think that you would want me to shoot, I would be happy to take you out and about. And that's what it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Hope to see you there. Here. It's here actually. Yeah, not there. Here.
Well, thanks for talking to me today.
It's been a pleasure. I never have a problem talking about birds.
Yeah. Good to meet you.
Okay. Thank you. You too.